Have you ever seen someone who had enough, but wanted more and more until they ended up with nothing? I have. His name was Akin, and this is the story of how greed entered his house and left it completely empty. In a small, quiet village nestled near the great river Niger, there lived a man named Akin. Akin was a fisherman. Every single morning, long before the sun even thought about rising, he would gather his net and make his way to the river. Fishing was hard, demanding work, but Akin was a strong and patient man. It was how he provided for his wife and their two beloved children. He worked tirelessly, day in and day out, to make sure they had what they needed. Akin wasn't a poor man, but he certainly wasn't rich. He had enough food to fill their bellies, he had peace in his home, and he had the respect of his fellow villagers. But deep down, in a quiet corner of his heart, Akin always felt a small, nagging voice telling him he deserved more. Whenever he saw the wealthy traders passing through his village, dressed in their fine, colorful clothes and carrying their big, bulging bags of money, his mind would start to spin with envy and desire. Why not me? He'd wonder silently. One warm evening, after a long day of fishing, Akin was walking home when he saw an old man sitting under a large mango tree near the river. The man looked incredibly tired, his shoulders slumped, and a deep hunger was etched on his face. Akin, remembering the lessons his mother taught him, greeted the man respectfully. "Good evening, Baba," he said with a slight bow. The old man looked up, and a weak but genuine smile touched his lips. "Good evening, my son," he replied in a soft voice. "Please, do you have a little water or some food you could spare?" Akin paused for a moment. He thought about the fish he had caught and the water he had left. He remembered his wife's favorite saying, "Whoever helps another will never lack help themselves." With that thought, he decided to share. He gave the old man some of his fish and the last of his water. The old man ate in silence, with a slow, deliberate grace. When he finished, he looked directly into Akin's eyes and said, "Because you showed me kindness, I will show you kindness in return. Tomorrow, when you go to fish, whatever you catch first, you must keep it separate from the rest." Akin was full of questions. What did he mean? Why only the first fish? But before he could ask, the old man stood up, dusted himself off, and walked away into the fading light, disappearing as mysteriously as he had appeared. The very next morning, filled with a mix of curiosity and skepticism, Akin went to the river earlier than usual. As he cast his net into the calm morning water, he immediately felt a strong, heavy pull. This was different. With all his strength, he hauled the net in. And there it was, a massive fish, bigger and more magnificent than any he had ever caught in his entire life. He instantly remembered the old man's strange words and carefully set the giant fish aside, keeping it separate from his other catches. When he arrived home, his wife's eyes went wide with shock. "Akin, my goodness, this one fish can feed our family for many days," she exclaimed with joy. But when Akin took his knife and tried to cut into the fish, something truly unbelievable happened. The fish wasn't filled with bones and flesh. Instead, inside its belly, neatly wrapped and perfectly clean, was a large sum of money. Real, crisp money. From that day forward, Akin's life was completely transformed. Every time he went fishing and followed the old man's instruction to keep the first catch separate, it brought him money. Not more fish, not other treasures, just money. Lots and lots of it. Before long, Akin became the richest man in the village, perhaps even in the whole region. He built a grand, new house that towered over the humble homes of his neighbors. He bought the finest clothes and ate the most expensive foods. But as his wealth grew, his heart began to shrink. He stopped greeting people he had known his entire life. He stopped smiling, and he certainly stopped helping anyone. If a neighbor or an old friend came to him, begging for a little food or some help, he would just shout at them, "Go and work. Don't be lazy." Greed had not just entered his house. It had taken over his heart completely. It sat on a throne in his soul, whispering poison into his ear day and night. One afternoon, his wife, who had watched this change with growing sadness and fear, tried to warn him. "Akin, my husband, please be careful," she pleaded gently. "Remember that this blessing came to us because of an act of kindness. Don't let your pride and your greed spoil it all." But Akin wouldn't listen. He waved his hand dismissively. "What do you know, woman? This is my reward for my hard work," he scoffed. He had forgotten the old man, forgotten the kindness, and believed the fortune was his by right. A few days later, one morning, as he prepared to go to the river as usual, a new, even greedier thought entered his mind. Why should I only keep the first fish? He muttered to himself, the magic is in the fish I catch. If one fish gives me money, imagine what all the fish will give me. I should keep everything for myself. So, that day, driven by his insatiable hunger for more, he did exactly that. He caught fish after fish, and instead of throwing any back or selling them, he kept every single one separate, his heart pounding with anticipation of the immense wealth he was about to uncover. He rushed home, his hands trembling as he laid out his massive catch. Eagerly, he began to cut them open, one by one. But inside the first fish, there was nothing. No money, just the rotten, foul smell of decay. He frantically moved to the next one, and the next, and the next. It was the same story for all of them. Nothing but a disgusting, putrid smell that filled his brand new house. The money had stopped, the magic was gone. The very next day, he went to the river, hoping it was just a bad day. But he caught nothing, not a single fish. He tried again the next day, and the day after that. The whole week passed, and his nets came up empty every single time. The river that had given him everything had now turned its back on him. Soon, the worst visitor of all entered Akin'S grand house, hunger. His money ran out, and with no fish to sell or eat, his family began to starve. As he walked through the village, thin and defeated, he had to face the same people he had once insulted and shouted at. They would look at him, some with pity, some with scorn, and the shame covered him like a heavy, suffocating cloth. One desperate evening, he went back to the old mango tree by the river, hoping to find the mysterious old man. He waited and waited, calling out his name, long into the night, but the old man never came back. Akin finally learned the hardest lesson of his life, but it was far too late. He learned that greed has no limits, it doesn't know when to stop. And when it's finally finished with you, it takes everything and leaves you completely and utterly empty. I truly hope you enjoyed this story and the lesson it holds. For more stories like this that make you think, please subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching.